Hello, it is Meredith. Welcome back for Vlogmas Day... I have absolutely no idea, but it's towards the end. We're in the 20s by now, surely. So for today's video, I am going to be doing the classic series where we take the last two numbers of the year, put a spin on that and go, I want to read that many books this year. So of course, next year is 2023. So this is my list of 23 books to read in 2023. Chestnut roasting. Now, did I complete my list of 22 books to read in 2022? No, but I think I only had like 5 that I didn't read. I did really well. I might do a video on it, we'll see, but I have added, I think, all of those, if not most of them, onto this again. So they're going for a round 2. Hopefully they'll get read this time. And I've decided to put a few more just like Christmas, oh my god, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. Just romance audiobooks, that's what I'm trying to say. Why is Christmas all that's in my head? Just so it's a little bit easier, because normally I would have completed that list. I had no problems completing those lists in the past, but since having my channel, which I didn't really realize when I made that video, I'm not able to just read whatever the heck I want when it comes to like physically reading, because I just don't have as much time with work and videos. There's just not a lot of that like time anymore. So I did decide to put a few more just audiobooks to help myself out, just romance books that I will easily get to at some point. So let's go through the list. So there's 23 books, so I'm going to try not to go into too much depth with these books just so the video isn't super long, but I will link down below all of these books. You can go look them up. If anything I say sounds catchy, you can go look into it with more... I don't know where I was going with that. Probably somewhere stupid. Okay, let's get into it. So the first book I have on my list is the iconic Wyler, The Koori Warrior. This is a middle grade by 2 Indigenous Australian authors, and it's about First Nations history and culture. She has to go on this journey to save her people, and it's kind of about, will she be brave enough to be a warrior like her grandmother? So it's going to be an absolutely adorable story. It's filled with gorgeous art. I have read the first chapter of this for the try a chapter video, which was one of my first videos for Vlogmas, so I'll link it if you want to watch it. These pictures are killing me. But yeah, I'm putting this on the list. I should be able to get to it. I was hoping to get to it this year, but it didn't happen, but it will happen next year. I think this was on my list last year. I'm not actually certain, but either way, I'm putting it on this year, and it's The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. This was also my try a chapter video, because I really want to read this. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's just suddenly started to absolutely pour down outside. Since we had flooding on our street, I'm really concerned. Every time I hear even a minuscule amount of rain, I'm just like, are we gonna flood? So this is a literary fiction by a local author, because Richard Flanagan is Tasmanian and I'm from Tasmania. So yes, a Japanese prisoner of war on the Thai-Burma Death Railway, and it's kind of about his life before and after the events of being there, the obviously horrific experience he went through, and kind of his love affair with his brother's wife. And it's just a very intense story that I know will probably break me, but I've always wanted to read it. It won the Booker Prize a few years ago, so I want to read all the Booker Prize winners at some point in my life, so I also need to read it for that. So yes, it's about time. I really wanted to get to this year, but it just didn't happen, so hopefully it will happen next year. So this next one was also in my try chapter and on last year's list, and that is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I have read the Broken Earth trilogy. I think I read that 2 years ago now, and I'm so annoyed I haven't read any more books by N.K. Jemisin, because it's something that I want to do. I want to read all her books because I'm obsessed. So I really need to get onto this. So this is kind of where I want to go next. This is a trilogy, and this one's kind of set in this kingdom in the sky. It's about this girl who was actually born there, but her mother ran away and took her with her, and the mother has passed away, and so she has been taken back to this kingdom, and she's kind of been chosen to take part in this trials where the heirs of the throne battle to the death to then get on the throne. And so she's kind of been thrust into that, and that all kind of happens in the first chapter. So this was a really good contender for that try chapter video as well, but it didn't end up being what I picked, so I'm going to put on my list again next year, and hopefully I actually get to it. Will I though? Probably not. Oh god, they're falling. The books are falling. Oh my god. So yeah, this one was also in my try a chapter video, and this was the second place contender. I almost picked this, and that is The Final Strife. I was very impressed by that first chapter. I was hooked. I loved the main character because she just seemed to deal with the horrific circumstances around her in her life with humor, and dark humor at that, and I've never really read about a character like that, so I was like, this sounds iconic. So it's set in this world where there are trials held every 10 years to find the next Ember ruler, and it's this character who is trained by these rebels, and she is going to, with the purpose to get into those trials and win, and then to take the empire down from within. So sounds really cool. Then the next book that I have is Destiny's Embrace by Beverly Jenkins. I also had this on the list last year, but I didn't realize that I can't get access to this on audiobook. Maybe I used to be able to, but suddenly it's gone. I don't know, but I can't, so I had to purchase the paperback. So I'm putting it back on the list because I really want to read the Destiny's trilogy. I think it's going to be one of my favorites by her. I just have a good feeling about it. So this is a class difference romance. It's about a housekeeper and the master of the house at their family's ranch. So it sounds adorable. So I really need to get to that one. I'm sure you can hear that now. That is really loud. Oh my god. Then the next one I have here is Grey Bees. This is a like historical fiction, and it's set in Ukraine during wartime. So obviously going to be a really tough read with what's going on in the world. Probably a very important read, but obviously not for everyone because it is going to be really challenging, and I think I'll have to be in the right headspace, especially because again of what's going on in the world right now. So this was published a few years ago, I believe. 2018. Yeah. It's set in Ukraine's grey zone, the no man's land between loyalists and separate forces, and in between there lies a village of 3 streets. And I think it's literally just about this beekeeper and trying to keep his bees alive during this terrible time. It says here his one remaining comfort is his bees. So I think it's going to be a tough read, but again important. So I'm putting this on the list and really hoping to get to it next year. Then the next book I have on this list is Parable of the... I actually don't know how to say this. Sower? I'll have to look into that. And I have read Kindred by Octavia Butler. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. It's going to be one of my favorite books of the year. And so I'm really excited to try out something else by her. This one seems to be another really popular one, so I thought it would be a good place to start again. It's set in 2025, which is terrifying because that's like, you know, only 3 years away. The world is descending into madness, and one woman begins a fateful journey toward a better future. So I think she goes through something really horrific in these circumstances, and so she ends up becoming a refugee, and she ends up kind of becoming like a leader. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this. Then I have on here Realm of Ash, which is the second book in a duology. The first book, Empire of Sam, was my favorite book of last year, so I'm really annoyed that I never got to this year. Like, it's crazy that I didn't continue a duology where the first book was my favorite book of the year. So I really need to get to this book. I'm super excited to give it a go. It follows the main character of the first book's little sister, and I don't really want to say what the second book's about because it's kind of, I guess, spoiler for the first book. So I'll just say that the first book is set in this fantastical desert world where culture has kind of been outlawed, you know, it's revered, it's not really safe to kind of practice that culture anymore. And the main character's mother is part of that group of people, and so she really wants to embrace that side of who she is, but she's not allowed to, and it's discouraged. She ends up being forced into arranged marriage, and it's definitely a personal story about her experience. It's very character driven, but I absolutely loved it. And the romance is really good, the story's really good, the world's amazing, there's so many themes and commentary in it. I absolutely loved it, so I'm so excited to read the second book. I can't believe it didn't happen this year. Shame! This next one was also on my list last year, and I put it on there because I'm like, well, I'm definitely going to get to this because I have a video plan for it, and I never ended up getting to that freaking video. But that is Notes of a Crocodile. This is a translated work by an author from Taiwan, and this is a story about a bunch of queer, like, college age people in the 1980s, I believe it is. Yeah, 1980s Taipei. And it's about discovering love, friendship, artistic affinity, and all while studying at university. And it's set in the eyes of an anonymous lesbian narrator. I want to say it's definitely going to happen because I got a video planned, but I literally have got everything ready to go, and I should get to it very early in the year. So it will definitely happen. It might even be the first book I read on this list. But that's how I felt last year and it never happened. So don't trust anything I say. The next one I have on this list is Heart and Hand, purely mostly because, well, one, the cover is just absolutely beautiful. And second, because this is an author whose books I really want to read. She writes a lot of historical romances. One of the books in the series is Sapphic, which we don't get a lot of in the historical romance genre. So yes, this is the first book in the series called Gold Sky. And it's a polyamorous historical romance, which is amazing. And so it's about a mail order bride. And just honestly, the first line of this sentence is enough to make me want to read this book. It says, "Can a mail order bride find love with 2 husbands?" Like, what? I want to know what leads to that. I actually don't think I want to know anymore. I just want to go into that blind. The next book on my list is 67 Days. This is a debut novel by an Indigenous Australian author. It's pitched as part romance, part tragedy. And it's about an intense and mesmerizing story of first love and longing, suffused with Wiradjuri dreaming, family and culture, about a future dreamt and a future taken by an important new voice in Australian fiction. Do I need to say more? Then this next book was also on the list last year because, again, I'm terrible. And that is The Weight of the Stars. I want to read this so bad. I want to read a Kate Ancrum book so bad, but I just don't get to this. And I can't think of an idea for a video for it. There's never a video for it, and it's really, really annoying. But this is a sapphic YA contemporary, and it's kind of a sci-fi as well because it's about these 2 girls, and one of the girls' mum is on a one-way trip to space, so they're communicating with her, and the main character wants to be an astronaut, but she is of a low socioeconomic status, so she doesn't believe that that's something she'll ever be able to do in her future. I've heard, you know, the most incredible things about this. I just haven't gone to it, which is disgusting, and I really need to fix that. Then the next book on my list is by Kazuo Ishiguro. He is an author who I want to read all of his books. I read Clara and the Sun this year, absolutely loved it. I think it's going to be my 3rd or 2nd favorite book of the year. I loved it so much. So I had a struggle to pick which one I was going to pick because I own quite a few. I've just gotten a bunch secondhand, but I decided to go with The Remains of the Day because this was the Booker Prize winner that he wrote, so I thought I may as well try and get that off so I can get some more Booker Prize winners read. Obviously this is a very good book then, and it's set in the summer of 1956, and it's about an aging butler, and he embarks on a holiday that will take him deep into the countryside and into his past. I just need to read more of his books. Again, can I come up with videos? No. It's like I come up with videos and then I read all of these books I don't know anything about, I've never heard of, and all the books I really want to read just sit on my shelves collecting dust. How do you booktube? Because I don't know. So the next book I've got on this list is A Duke by Default, and this is the 2nd book in the Reluctant Royals series, and I read the first book in this year and I really, really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved it. So I have put the 2nd book in this series on here, and the heroine in this one was in the first book, and she was like not very nice because she was kind of a bad friend, and like a lot of the conflict in that book was to do with this main character's friend being shitty. So it's going to be interesting reading about her. I do love reading about people that have been bad in the past becoming better people, and it's about her getting an apprenticeship with this sword maker, which is really cool. And they have like an enemies to lovers because she's, you know, preppy, she's rich, she comes in and thinks she knows everything, and the swords maker is like, you're annoying as shit, fuck off. So I think it's going to be really fun. And I'm excited to give it a go. So yes, I've got that on the list. The next one I've got is another book I'm super ashamed I haven't read yet. It is The Shadowglass. I've had this on a TBR in the past. This is the last book in the Bromwich trilogy that I really, really, really want to finish. I'm really enjoying the series. I've loved the first 2 books, so I really just need to get to this. The fact I haven't is driving me mad. So this is a series about a witch who is telling her life story to this bard. She's kind of a necromancer witch, and she has kind of done something that's made her kind of infamous. So we're learning what led up to that, but we also don't really know what she's doing. It's like one of those books where we go from the past and the present back and forth, and so we're slowly learning through each of them about what's happening now and what happened in the past, so we're kind of connecting the dots. And it's got like one of the best YA romances in a fantasy I've read. I just really love the romance in this one. The next book that I have on my list is Music of the Night. This is by Angela J. Ford, and I've read 2 books by her. I really liked one, the other was just okay, so I'm interested to give this one a go. This is a Phantom of the Opera fantasy romance retelling, I believe. And it's about a character who makes a deal that she can avoid an arranged marriage if she learns to sing for this count who runs the theatre. Why could I not think of the word? And she ends up finding this mysterious man in a tower and asks him to teach her how to sing. And it's kind of sounds like it's going to be this lyrical, lush, beautiful romance. And I'm ready for it. I'm super excited. It's on the list, so of course. I'm running out of ways to say that in interesting ways, and now I'm just talking shit. I always feel like filming this video feels really bland, but like they're really fun to watch, but I feel like filming it, you're just like, this is so boring. Like, why does anyone want to watch this? But then when I watch them, I'm like, oh, this is really good. But when I film it, I'm like, this is terrible. So the next one I have on here, I'm so excited to get to. And that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read Mexican Gothic by her this year and somehow fell in love with that. 5 stars. One of my favorite books I've read this year. Was not expecting that because I'm not really a horror thriller kind of reader, so the fact that I loved that, I was really shocked. And so this is another book by her, and I bought this secondhand years ago. So it's set in the Jazz Age, and it's about a character who's too busy scrubbing floors in her wealthy grandfather's house to do anything more than dream of life far from her dusty little town in southern Mexico. Ooh, and so she opens this chest and she accidentally frees a Mayan god of death. And he offers her a deal. If she helps him recover his throne from his treacherous brother, he will grant her whatever she desires. Oh, but success will make her every dream come true, but failure will see her lost forever. I've heard more mixed things about this than Mexican Gothic, but I have faith in her because, again, it was not my genre at all for Mexican Gothic, and it was 5 stars. Again, absolutely loved it. So I have faith that this is going to be something that I'm going to really enjoy as well. So this next one kind of was on my list last year. I had the last book in this series on the list and I did not even get close to getting to the last book. So I'm just going to put the next book that I'm up to in this series so I can feel a little bit more accomplished, because if I'm being realistic, I'm probably not going to finish it next year either. Even though I would love to, just with my channel, it's really hard to continue series. That book is Magic Rises by Lona Andrews. I've had this on a TBR. Hopefully I can get to this next year. Hopefully I can get to at least like 3 or 4 of these books next year. But anyway, this is about Kate Daniels. She's a mercenary in this oh my god, I'm getting to that point in the video where I don't know how to talk anymore. It's like a urban fantasy setting, so it's like in the city, and technology is advanced to the point where it's kind of at odds with magic, and so technology and magic can never like coincide at the same time. So if magic has its moment, then the technology goes down, and then when the magic goes away, the technology comes back up. So it's this really bizarre, cool setting, and there's lots of like creepy, gross things that happen in this, and it's just about Kate going on all of these like missions, but there's also this overarching plot which is really cool as well. The next book that I'm putting on my TBR is Ruin Song. This is by Julia Ember, and it's a YA sapphic fantasy, and it's about this girl whose power is in music. So when she sings, she basically tortures people. Like her singing tortures people. So I've never heard of anything more grotesquely amazing in my life. I have actually read the first 38 pages because I purchased this and then I was going out for tea with my friend, but he was running late, so I just read this in the car. And I loved what I had read. I also love this cover. I've always loved this cover. I can't deal with it. It's just beautiful. Next one is a bit of a booktube, bookstagram, book talk, book Twitter, book everything darling, and that is Iron Widow. I really should have read this year, but it just didn't happen. The blurb of this is so confusing and I'm so tired of this video. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible booktuber. I'm sorry, I promise I enjoy making videos. These ones I just struggle with a little bit. The men in this world pilot giant transforming robots that battle aliens. Their female co-pilots are expected to serve as concubines and sacrifice their lives. And I believe it is about a woman who offers herself up as a concubine pilot, but her plan is to assassinate the male pilot responsible for her sister's death. but miraculously emerging from the cockpit unscathed after her first battle, she is declared an Iron Widow, the most feared pilot of all. But now she's had a taste of power, she's set her sights on bigger things. The time has come to stop more girls being sacrificed. Ooh, it sounds good. Sorry, that was kind of weird. I was having a moment there. I believe it's polyamorous and queer. So I'm super excited for that one. Cannot wait. Oh, don't fall. I drop my phone so much. I'm surprised it still works. Like, I know I've got a screen protector on it, but I've dropped it so much that I honestly would have thought it would just have exploded by now. Okay, we're on the home stretch. 3 to go. Okay. You know what I just realized? Every year these videos are going to get harder because you're always going to be adding one book. Maybe I won't do these videos anymore. I don't know. I love watching them and I like the idea of doing it and I like making the list. It's just the filming. The third last one I have on this list is An Accident of Stars. This is, I think, by an Australian author and it is a portal fantasy and I think it's polyamorous. I don't know how I've managed to get like 3 on this list. Like, who am I? I don't know, but apparently this is my year of reading poly books and I'm not mad about it. So yeah, she's transported into a magical world on the brink of civil war and her fate is intertwined with 3 very different women. And it just says here at the end, can one young woman, a very accidental world walker, really be the key to saving the world? I really need to read this. Like, this sounds amazing. So hopefully I can get to it. I'm excited to read it. I just need to get to it. The second last book on my list is the Swan book. This cover does things to me, I'm gonna be honest. And this is another book by an Indigenous Australian author and I think this is, I don't know if it's like utopia, dystopia kind of book, but it's set in the future and Aboriginals are still living under the intervention in the north, fundamentally altered by climate change. Yeah, so it's gonna be a really tough read. It's about a young woman who is mute and I'm not going to say what she goes through, but it's really, really horrific. It just says here, it offers an intimate awareness of the realities facing Aboriginal people. The energy and humour in her writing finds hope in the bleakest situations and the remarkable combination of storytelling elements drawn from myth and legend and fairy tale. So gonna be a tough read, but very important. And I've wanted to read this for years, so yes, putting that on the list. And then the last book on my list is a book by QB Tyler because I've always wanted to read her books and I've never gotten to them because she writes taboo age gaps, which I'm not sure is my thing. I'm trying to learn if that's my thing and I feel like QB Tyler is going to really help me decide. So I've just put one of the random ones on here, which has always been You. I do own 2 of them and her newest release is also one, so maybe I could read those for a vlog. I don't know, but like, would anyone want to watch that? What would I even title that? I don't know. Me reading whatever the fuck I want. So this is one of those books that has absolutely nothing about what this book's about on the back. Just says stuff like, I shouldn't want him. I know I shouldn't touch myself in the middle of the night as thoughts of him run through my mind, casually, as you do. Thoughts of his kiss, his touch, his love. I spent years obsessing over the man I thought I couldn't have, but it turns out he wants me too, and he wants me now. So I don't know, take from that what you will. Oh my god. That is it. I have a very sore throat. I'm gonna go drink a lot of water. Anyway, thank you for being here. I'm sorry it came across like I hated every minute of this. I didn't. I hated about 90% of it. No, I'm joking. So that is gonna do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments some books that are on your list. Have you read any of these books? Which one would you like me to prioritize? Let's just chat about books in the comments. And hopefully I'll see you for tomorrow's video for Vlogmas. But until then, bye!
Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas.